Our theme this month is Growing Through the Cycle of Life. And our topic today is bless, B-L-E-S-S, bless. This is the second in a series of 4 talks about how we raise our consciousness by acknowledging, blessing, releasing, and replacing thoughts, actions, ideas, and behaviors that no longer serve us and have been impacting us negatively, albeit probably below the level of our recognition. As I said last week, though, to ignore the impact in our lives up until now of these things when it's been impacting us negatively, or to pretend that its impact is inevitable and eternal, either one of those is bringing the past into the present in every moment for some of us, rather than blessing it, releasing it, and replacing it. Now, I don't know for certain if this applies to you, but for me, there is a plethora of things in my life that I bless every day. Every time I hear the song, "Where I Live, There Are Rainbows," I bless this place where I have chosen to live. Every time FaceTime lights up on my computer and the face of a dear one who doesn't live here appears in color and with sound, I bless the technology that created and maintains this incredible, this marvelous process that serves me without my ever having to understand the details of how it works. Yesterday I was at the beach, and as is typical for me now, I talk to the visitors down there. I really enjoy talking with them, and they're always really interested about those of us who live here and that we love so much living here. And one of these people I was talking to yesterday was from England, another one was from Spain, and 2 of them were from Kansas, here in the United States. And as all of you probably have experienced and know, when those kinds of conversations occur, inevitably someone, or in some instances more than someone, expresses the thought, "Oh, you are so lucky you get to live here." And my response is always gently and respectfully, it's not luck. It's years of planning, preparing. And if they already know what I do on Sundays and Tuesday afternoons, I also indicate to them, and it's a matter of faith along with that planning and preparing, that my spiritual practice not only claims that, but also claims that I deserve it. Which is another way of saying I bless that, and who brought me to this moment in time. I bless them. This moment in time, living my dream. I even bless the voice that I heard in my mind one morning 10 years ago. And that voice said very clearly to me, "How much longer are you going to wait to live your dream?" That was so clear to me. It could just as well have been said, "Call Matson Shipping Services, we'll move your household," which they did. And and me in the care of Kim Schneider and her husband for almost 9 months while I found a place to live permanently. So here's what I know. Blessing the good things in our lives and the good thoughts in our minds is easy. Blessing the epiphanies that suddenly appear as if by magic is easy. But blessing the challenges, blessing what I judge to be the negative stuff, blessing the frustration I feel when things don't go the way I think they should, well, what's that about? Here's what Louise Hay, which may be a familiar name to many of you, here's what Louise Hay, in who was a science of mind minister to begin with, became a world-renowned teacher and author, has to say about that in her book, You Can Heal Your Life. In the infinity of life where I live and where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. Change is the natural order of my life, just like change is the natural order of the universe. I welcome change. I'm willing to change. I choose to change my thinking. I choose to change the words I use. I move from the old to the new with ease and with joy. It makes it easier for me to forget and to forgive that I have been thinking the negative things. Forgiving makes me feel free and light. It's with joy that I learn to love myself more and more. The more resentment I release, the more love I have to express. Changing my thoughts makes me feel good. I'm learning to choose to make today, right here and now, today, a pleasure to experience. All is well in my world. And that, my dear ones, is at the center of this talk today, which is blessing. Blessing all of it. Even blessing the challenges. Blessing what I judge to be the negative stuff. Blessing the frustration. I feel when things don't go the way I think they should, I recognize, as you heard in one of the Standing in the Lights this morning, recognize it's a step forward. Even blessing the old thoughts, the old actions, the old ideas, the old behaviors. Why would I want to do that? You know what I'm going to say next, don't you? Wait for it. Wait for it. Because that is what brought me to this moment in time, this level of consciousness, this readiness to move on. As Louise Hay said, move to the new with ease and joy. Last week we talked about acknowledging what no longer serves us in our lives so that we can release it by denying it any power anymore. Now, we take the next step to bless it, for it having been a part of our consciousness, because it was a step in our process of learning. And without it, we would not be where we are now, today, ready to take the next step. I could probably end this talk right here, right now, and just say, end of story. Except, there is no end to the story of our lives. Ernest Holmes reminds us that a blessing is a constructive thought directed toward any condition. He further expresses that whatever you bless is your recognition of its divinity. Let me say that again. Where did that come from? Well, it's in the text, folks. Whatever you bless is your recognition of its divinity. I read that to mean that there's something positive and life-affirming in every experience. And it's for my own highest and best good. And I bless it for bringing me to this moment in time. This moment, which is the next step. It's like I drive a beautiful, dependent, comfortable car. It gets me where I choose to go in a time frame that serves me. And I can put gasoline in it ahead of time to enable that to happen. Or I could hitch a horse up to a wagon. I could take food and water, mine and the horses, for the journey and expect that that time would be significantly longer and bumpier, don't you know, than it would be in the above described car. So, how many horse-drawn wagons have you seen lately on your way to and from Coleman, for example? About that many? Exactly. I bless my recognition of things that serve me in the world that I live in today and the path that created them. And so it is with my thoughts, my ideas, my behaviors from the past that provide better opportunities for me in each current moment. There's no reason why I can't let go of horse and buggy thinking or acting in order to improve my quality of life. Well, no logical reason. Using that analogy, though, can free me up to releasing old thoughts, releasing old ideas and behaviors that are keeping me in the slow lane, which is where I would be with the horse and the wagon, because I ignore or I fear change. Dr. Holmes cuts to the chase when he says, life is a blessing or a curse, according to the use we make of it. When we constructively praise and creatively bless, the life around us and within us abounds with love, with peace, with joy. So let your goodness shine. Like what we did say in this morning's affirmation. I bless my body and my mind, for they are good and worthy of my love, which is another way of saying I love myself. You all know how much I find lasting power in the use of positive stories to strengthen the value of a lesson or of a message. And especially true stories. I really love to share true stories with you. Well, this is a true story from a book of miracles, which is one of the chicken soup books with a little different title, a book of miracles. And of course, around here, we know miracles as normicals, don't we? That's what we call them. That's what we believe in. So this is the story. In the book, it is titled The Parable of the Purse. But I've retitled it Blessings from Dunkin' Donuts by Heidi Croce. Shimmering in the distance, a beacon for weary travelers, Kathy and Heidi were grateful to be out of the urban city and out of the jungle of traffic unscathed and headed toward the oasis that was beckoning to them, flashing Dunkin' Donuts. Minutes later, they were covered with white powder and high on sugar, so they ordered some coffee to go. The store had a special on super-sized coffee cups, coffee mugs, actually, and with them, a guarantee of free refills for a year. So as they headed out on their way to visit a friend in Indiana, with the two mugs attached to the dashboard, they checked their map app to locate other Dunkin' Donuts along their way for free coffee, of course. 2 hours later, they stopped to get gas in the car and to restore their own personal comfort. And deciding that they wanted some refreshments as well, even though they hadn't come upon one of those Dunkin' Donuts yet, Heidi said to Kathy, "My treat this time." And she reached into the back seat to get her purse. But it wasn't there. Thinking that it could easily have slipped down between the seats or under one of the seats, she got out, she rummaged around, but to no avail. No real worries, but concern. They hadn't stopped anywhere else, so she knew that no one could have stolen it. And she remembered that she paid for her coffee mug, so she must have had her purse then. Her next thought, however, was that she remembered with all the fuss mounting those cups on the dashboard, she had put her purse on the top of the car. Anybody ever done that? Yes, or other things on the top of the car. Well, she did it in the parking lot in New York City. So then she panicked. Had her credit cards already been maxed out was her first thought. But something told her to call someone told her to call that Dunkin' Donuts first before she began to figure out how she was going to let the credit card companies know when she didn't have the credit cards. So sure enough, the clerk who answered the phone at the Dunkin' Donuts said, "Oh, thank goodness, we have been going through your wallet trying to find a way to get in touch with you. Somebody found your purse in the parking lot and turned it in." The shop owner graciously express mailed it to the address of the friend they were going to visit in Indiana, and by the time they got there the next morning, it was there waiting for them. Well, one would conclude at the end of this story that was really quite a demonstration, but not yet. A few years later, on a snowy Minnesota night in the winter, in the middle of downtown Minneapolis, Heidi noticed a flashing light on the dashboard of her car. And what it was signaling was that she was low on gas. And she realized that she was going to need to stop for gas before she went home, or she wouldn't make it home. So after her experience before with the purse some years back, she had switched to a smaller purse that she could put around her neck. You know, it had the long handle on it. She could put it around her neck. So she stopped. She filled the car with gas. She made sure the purse was around her neck and drove home. But when she got out of the car, the purse wasn't there. Like deja vu, I think. A single leather strap wound its way around the scarf that she had on, like a vine around a tree. But no purse was attached to the other end. Like before, she searched frantically around between the seats, under the seats, around everything else in the car. She apparently had lost her purse again. This time she called the credit card companies right away. She also called her bank, and she froze all of her accounts. But the next morning, she got a call. "Is this Heidi Groch?" Somebody on the other end of the line said. "Yes, we found your purse in a snowbank." A snowbank. What had happened was, when she closed the car door, her purse was hanging outside. Long cord on the inside, purse on the outside. It had dragged along through the snow for quite a ways before the strap broke. But eventually the strap broke. Again, when she got the purse back, everything was in it. And once again, the finder refused to accept any reward in the way of a payment. So, message number one. There are a lot of good people out there. And they show up in the most amazing ways. What a blessing. One might almost call that miraculous. Believe it. Trust it. Lesson number two. Bless every example of that for yourself. And accept it when it shows up in your life. I deserve this. Lesson number three. Sometimes it takes more than one example to show up as a lesson to be learned in life. You think? Heidi does. And so it is.